Hello, thanks for checking out this user group video. We are with STEM educator Gylendora Davis. She is at Billingsley High School. This topic of this user group is STEM education in rural schools. So Ms. Davis, tell us a little bit, and thank you for your time. Tell us a little bit about your school and what the rural nature of your school. Where are you?
Hi, I'm in a rural school located in Billingsley, Alabama, Billingsley High School. I have it's a K through 12 school, so I teach 7th through 12th grade. They are a STEM school. They have robotics and they use the gifted program, and we're embracing Learning Blade more in this area this year. So it is a school. The focus is technology for the students, computer application and coding, some of the key focuses that they focus on.
Awesome. And so, in terms of rural students, they don't often rural communities don't see the same quantity of engineers in their community. How does that impact your students, and what do you do to address that?
Okay, well, in my area, the students are that most of the parents, they have parents that are engineers that will come in during the robotics season. But if a student is not on the robotics curriculum, not doing robotics or engaged in some type of after school program, then you typically would not get a visit from someone that was in STEMs. So it is up to the teacher to then come up with creative ways to give them exposure, especially about STEM careers, things that they can do in education in regards to STEM. It is limited as to what they know. Normally when we say STEMs, it automatically goes to engineers that deal with a specified job. They're not really familiar with the diverse components of STEM.
Awesome. And so how are you using Learning Blade?
Okay, Learning Blade is my go-to, is great. And how I got involved with the Learning Blade this year at my new school, I was having a conversation with my students about colleges and careers. This was my senior group. And I was talking to them about what was their plan, what did they plan to do. A lot of them were looking at trades, and I wanted them to understand that although you're looking at a trade, have you ever thought about a STEM trade? Because there's a growing market. You want to be global competitors. So have you looked at to even know what your interests are? And so a lot of them was like, no, when you say STEM, I don't want to go in STEM because, as I said, it's more of a farming community where I am. A lot of land, a lot of cattle and things. And of course, a lot of diverse things come through the trade school there. So to get them really interested in STEMs, I said, I have the perfect way to do this. We're going to use Learning Blade. So we got involved with the missions and we got involved with the challenges and stuff. And so the students began to research. First thing we did was we researched different STEM careers. And as they began to research those different careers, they began to understand, like, they didn't know there were so many. Then they didn't know that certain daily jobs that are being done by engineers, and some of whom they could relate to, but they were not aware that that title was coded as a STEM career or a person that would engage in that. So they really began to realize that it took multiple engineers to complete various tasks in a field of study or on a job. So then they began to realize, like, I want to do drafting and design. So let's look at how that relates to high demand. So we were really looking at and talking about current issues in society today. And Learning Blade really enabled me to hit home, to change their interests, to make them interested in college or trade. It enabled them to simulate that real world reality. So it mimicked what I needed them to do. And when they got on the missions, they really were challenged then to think outside the box, exposed to the engineering design process. it was like a package deal that you could deliver to your students to convey a point about the importance of not only knowing about STEMs in the job market, but having tools that are readily available to you that the students themselves could log on and say, I can do a mission in my free time just to learn more about a job description I may be interested in. And then of course they can compete when they do the teammates and stuff like that. So they liked it.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I really like what you said about, the STEM trades like advanced manufacturing and mechatronics and, robotics in the workplace, and recognizing that you can still, so much of STEM happens at the technical community college level. And I think Learning Blade does a great job of showing students that broadness of the STEM workforce.
It does, and it did, especially for my students. So now I'm exposing my younger students. I started because internet connectivity in my area is a problem because we're rural. So there are days when it's up and it's working fine. There are days when it goes down. So they were like, but when we do it as a whole group activity and we do it as a lesson or as a class, I began to notice that the engagement and the conversations and the debate were more involved. And it not only enabled, it helped with their reading and comprehension, it also helped with their social skills because they had to interview one another. They had to, they just was mimicking these everyday roles that we get up and perform, not really knowing what all went into the everyday task. So then they had better respect for what we do. As an educator, as a STEMs individual, they now was like, if I choose to go in cattle, do something in farming, not hydroponics, if I choose to go in medical, they now saw that I may not be good at this particular area, but I can still take what I've learned here and further my career in an area that's similar, that is better suited for me. So and then the parental involvement with the parents was a big piece, because at the end I would have them go home and use the parental involvement piece that's in.
Oh, you're using our STEM for Parents lessons. Wow.
I am. And so the parents like being in the know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now they know what their students are learning at school.
Yeah, that's
and we even built some of the projects. They even built some of the projects to simulate, especially like the earthquake, when they built some of the projects, because we were talking about earth systems and it's relatable. And so it made sense. It was simple, but it made sense to them.
That's great. And so later I'll help you with this, but we do have an app in the Google Play Store called Learning Blade Backpack. Okay. And some teachers use the app in their classroom. What it allows, and this is good for rural schools, it allows your students to log into Learning Blade, download the mission to their Chromebook, and then work offline with no internet.
Oh, wow.
And then the next time they connect, so they can work in airplane mode, right? So they're not sucking the internet out of the school. And then they can work in airplane mode. And when they reconnect, all their data will just go back to the teacher. So that's, I'll email you about that, but it's an app in the Google Play Store. Most of the time you need a technology coordinator to turn it on. So that way it's in the students' Chromebooks options to download and use. But I'll send you some information on that. Well, Ms. Davis, it is, you always speak so wonderfully about your experience using Learning Blade. And I love how you talked about the different skills it's building, the collaboration, the problem solving. I guess I'll leave on this one question and then we'll wrap it up with this question. Other rural schools, why should they try Learning Blade?
I believe that they should try Learning Blade because Learning Blade exposes students beyond the classroom to the outside world, to what students need to build soft skills and develop that critical and problem solving skills they need to be global competitors. It's a one package deal.
And in your state, there's a drive to like get more students into STEM. The governor has a credible initiative. So what you just said is priming the pump and getting kids into that STEM pathways and pipelines. So thank you so much, Ms. Davis, for your time, for sharing your story. I can't wait to present in person with you at the Alabama Science Teacher Association, and I'll see you there.
To it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care.
You too.